Hey Hank, how you doing? Jeffrey Hayzlett here. Can you hear me and see me?
Hey, Jeffrey, how are you?
Wonderful. Let me put a headset on just so you can hear me a little bit better. We get some better sound here. I apologize for that. I'm calling live. Sardinia, Italy today. I just got in from Roatan, Honduras, and I'm leading a program. So I'm just glad to be with you. It's about 10:45 this evening, but I'm glad to be here and be able to share. Let me give you a little background on myself and then get into the smile because I was so intrigued with Ken inviting me and talking about this. I'm a Hall of Fame speaker. I'm in 5 business Hall of Fames, and I'm a former Fortune 100 officer. I used to be the chief marketing officer of Kodak. And if there's one place I learned to smile, it was certainly at Kodak for a number of years. And so I was there. I bought and sold hundreds of businesses for about $25 billion. Former host on Celebrity Apprentice for 3 years with now the Donald Trump. Give her a break, no matter what you think he is. I think we all agree that he's batshit crazy, and that'll make you smile, I think, or should make you smile in one way, shape, or form. And then, and I lead my own television show called All Business with Jeffrey Hayzlett on C-Suite Radio, C-Suite TV. I used to do that show on Bloomberg, and now we do it on C-Suite Radio and C-Suite TV. And I film that live weekly from the New York Stock Exchange. So it's a pleasure to be here. And when Ken asked me about the things that make me smile, I'm going to tell you about a story years ago. I used to be at Augustana College when, long before this was gray, and many pounds ago. I was at Augustana College in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, now known as Augustana University, and I was in charge of the speaker program. And at the speaker program, we had people like, Margaret Thatcher and Elie Wiesel. We had, John Majors. We had Mikhail Gorbachev and many luminaries. And one person in particular was a real idol of mine. He was somebody I looked up to, and that was by the person by the name of Jacques Cousteau. And if you remember
Jacques
on Sunday,
Cousteau. I know Jacques. Quite a
exactly. If
guy.
you remember our age group and the people that listen, and if for
Yeah.
some of you young people, we'll give you his wiki profile in the chat. And so I got a chance to bring Jacques Cousteau on the campus as a student, and my job was to host him while he was there. And I got to host all the speakers, which was one of the best jobs in the world. And here we were out to dinner one night, and he started regaling me with story after story. We're having a couple bottles of wine, and he was at a French restaurant in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, of all places. And he was regaling me with story after story. One time he told me about he was deep down underwater, and where he was at, he was about 120 feet, which, if you know anything about diving, it's a very scary thing because you go down deeper and deeper, and it gets a lot of pressure on you. So he was in this underwater cave, and as he looked at his watch, he noticed it was time for him to come up and ascend because he was running out of air. Now, back then, they didn't have the kind of equipment that we have today, so it was a little tougher for him to gauge when he should come up, but he knew it was time. And as he started to make his way up, because you have to come up and you have to come up in stages, or you get what they call the bends. And so you have to depressurize because there's so much pressure on you as you're coming up. And so as he's making a way out of this underwater cave, his top of his air tank hit the top of the cave. And equipment not being like it is today, tore a little hole in that tank. And what little air he had shot out like a rocket, just and it was gone, absolutely gone. And in that split second that the air shot out, he decided at that time that he had to swim as fast as he could to get to the top, knowing full well that he's going to get the bends. And at that time, if you got the bends, they would put you in a decompression chamber, and you might live, but no matter what, it was very painful. It was extremely painful. It's kind of like someone trying to cut from the inside out of your body. I mean, because it's the expansion of air molecules in your bloodstream. And so here he is, swimming as fast as he can, getting as fast as he goes, and out of nowhere comes his one of his swimming buddies who saw that Jacques was in trouble, and of course grabbed him and turned him around real quick, stopped him from ascending, and then he took his air out of his mouth and put it into Jacques' mouth, and he shared his air, and of course they made their way up in stages, and of course he lived to tell me about this, so we know that he lived, right? And I turned to him and I said, Mr. Cousteau, weren't you scared? Weren't you petrified? And he turned to me and he said, Jeffrey, one should never be scared when you're in good company. And so when I think about smiles and I think about bringing joy, when I think about bringing happiness, I think about moments like that. Now, it might have been scary. It might have been just frightening. It certainly was near death experience, but more than important, he knew he was in good company. And so when people like Ken and others reach out to people and say, hey, can you do something? And let's talk about International Smile Day. I thought it was a perfect day for us to be able to come together and share exactly the great things that we could do in our lives. And when I think about my own personal happiness and my own personal things, the things that make me smile are my children, obviously, and my grandchildren. In fact, people ask me all the time, in interviews that I do about business, they said, what do you want to do when you grow up? Because I got a long ways to do before I grow that. And I just tell everybody my biggest inspiration is to be the greatest grandfather, to be the greatest husband, the greatest father. And I like to do as much of that as I possibly can. But what brings me joy and what brings me happiness into this world are those kinds of things. And it's being in good company, certainly with family and certainly with people like we are here today. And so with that, I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate being here and being a part of it, especially, being with everybody that I was listening to, because I came in a little while ago and been listening to some great speakers on this International Smile Day and the Smile-A-Thon. And it reminds me of the first time I met my wife's great grandmother. Now, it happens to be my wife's birthday today. And here I am in Italy in the evening at 10:51 and talking to everybody here. And I'll tell you something, but the first time I met my wife's great grandmother. Now, my wife's 5'1", about 110 pounds. I'm 6'3", 250 some pounds. And the first time I met Tammy's great grandmother, now she's 4'11", 4'11", maybe weighed 90 pounds, 95, soaking wet. And she looked up at Tammy and she looked away up at me. And she looked at Tammy, she looked way up at me. She looked at Tammy, she looked up at me. She turned back to Tammy and said, isn't he bigger than necessary? And that's what I feel like today, bigger than necessary, to be with all these great people and being able to share a smile with you. So thank you for having me. Hank, I'll turn it back over to you. Hopefully you're there. I don't see you right now, but I hope that we were able to share a smile together. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
All right. Cheers.
Enjoy your visit. Ciao.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to say hi to you, Jeffrey. It's good to see you.
How you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
I guess God wanted us to have a little glitch so I could come in and say hello to you real quick.
There you go. Well, I figured there was a glitch, and I'm going to let you and Lai take over and go from there. I'm going to go host Celebrates on C-Suite Network. That's where I'm going to go head to right now. Yeah.
Well, and I look forward to having you on. I look forward to having you on my big show someday soon. All right. Thank you so much.
I'm game on, brother. Thanks, everybody. Cheers.
Take care. Bye-bye.
See you, Jeffrey.